Hello and welcome everyone to Lifestyle Beautiful's webinar, Getting Better Sleep, Sleep 101. I am Megan Ward. I'm the founder and CEO of Lifestyle Beautiful. And I started this organization because I couldn't find a full suite well-being offering, especially in the workplace. And after almost 20 years in human resources, I just couldn't find a solution that had total well-being for everyone in the workplace and even individuals outside of their workspace, and really being able to bring that offering full suite. So I'm so excited to bring to the table today as a webinar offering our Sleep 101, and we'll hear more about our speaker very shortly. But I'm actually going to turn it over
I think I
to
can get away with it.
Lisa Collins, and she's going to take it from there. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Megan. I am excited that you're joining us today for our webinar on Sleep 101. I believe sleep hygiene is super important and needed in our life. And this is one of a part of multiple series that we are creating to help individuals live the lifestyle beautiful. We have a wonderful, wonderful coach who is part of our team, and she is very well versed in walking you through some of the best tips and tools of the industry to make sure that you are leveraging sleep. And these are just the basic Sleep 101. And I'm going to turn it over to our terrific coach, Bree Nordstrom. So Bree, take it away.
Thank you so much, Julie. Thanks, Megan. Thank you for coming today. I'm happy to see you all here and excited to talk about sleep, something that I really love and find really foundational to our health. So thank you for participating today. And we will have some question and answer time at the end. So if you have any questions throughout this time, feel free to jot them down or even throw them in the chat. And we'll be happy to take a look at the end and answer as many as we can. One second, I'm going to share my screen and you'll start to see what we're doing. All right, so this is Sleep 101, the basics of sleep hygiene and health. Next slide, Julie. So our sleep is the essential foundation of our health. Every human being sleeps about a third of their life. So receiving sufficient and quality sleep is really important for your overall health. Today, we're just going to cover 4 basics. So kind of the 4 pillars, if you will, of sleep. They are regularity, sound, light, and temperature. These are the things that you can actually control to gain healthier and better sleep every night. Next slide. So regularity is probably the most important and also the most challenging. We have crazy busy schedules. Everybody has dinner parties or spending time with family or whatever. There's so many things that get in the way or disrupt our sleep. And so regularity is really important because our bodies have something called a circadian rhythm. Probably most of you know what that is. It's just a rhythm inside of your body. It always gets messed up. Daylight savings, right? Actually, you see a huge spike in heart attacks when we lose an hour of sleep every year on that daylight savings time. And you actually see a reduction in hospital visits the day of the year that we gain an hour of sleep. So anyway, a not so fun fact, if you will. Every part of your being, like every cell, actually has a little tiny clock in it. And this is true not just in humans, but in plants and in animals. There's something about the rotation of the sun that tells everybody to wake up and to go to sleep, to rise and to rest. And so it's really important that we honor that 24-hour timing in ourselves, in our bodies, and we get to sleep. Being realistic is important. If you know that you have to get up and be at work at 7 a.m., sleeping until 6:45 might not be the best for your overall well-being. If you know you just have trouble falling asleep, you don't feel tired until 10:30. Well, everybody has a little bit of a sleep preference. And it usually runs about 30% early risers, 30% kind of in the middle, and 30% night owls. So find something that's realistic for you. Weekends count too. I know it's unfortunate. But if you mess with your regularity over the weekend, let's say you're super consistent Monday through Friday, and on the weekend you stay up till 2 a.m. or you get up at 11 a.m., you're going to mess with your sleep cycle. And so I would encourage live your life, enjoy your life, but know that that does have impact, and that's okay. So there's going to be times that that's worth having impact, and other times that it's just not. Your sleep's more important. And then napping is a double-edged sword. Research is not very specific on this one yet. Basically, when you nap, you have something called a sleep pressure inside of you. So the longer you're awake, the more the chemical adenosine builds in your brain. And if you go to sleep, that chemical reduces because you're kind of taking away the pressure that's been rising. So napping is a double-edged sword. Some people, it's great for them. Some people, not so much. If you do nap, try either a really short 20-minute nap, 30-minute nap max, or a really long 90-minute nap. When you wake up after an hour and you feel exhausted, it's because you're in the middle of a deep sleep cycle. So not a great recommendation there, but every person's different. So try it out and see how it goes. Next slide. So light. Light is another thing that you can control inside of your sleep space. Your sleep space being your bedroom. So it is the most powerful natural reset. There's, I think, just a crazy amount. I think it's 10 million receptors inside of your brain, inside of your optic nerves, your eyes, that tell you, okay, I should be awake. And think about it, the majority of the existence of the world has not had electricity. And so when you go to the bathroom at 2 a.m. and you flip the light on, you are telling your body, it's time to be awake. I'm awake now. And so, keeping light out of that space will really help you remain asleep. So the darker, the better. Blackout curtains are wonderful. And eliminating blue light an hour or two before bed. Again, that's just telling your body like the sun is still up, because your body doesn't know, your cells don't know about smartphones, basically. So, and then make sure your bedroom's comfortable. It's somewhere you want to go, that your bed's comfortable, you're getting a new mattress or rotating that mattress, your sheets, you've got noise or fans or whatever like really helps you. An alarm clock that's not your phone is always a great idea. And it was interesting. I was reading the other day, there was a study done in Japan, and the two variables, like what they were looking for was rate of depression, and the variable was kind of ambient light in the bedroom. So they took one group and they had blackout curtains and everything was dark. And they took another group and had just like street light. It was like very minimal. It was like normal, right? And they saw 73% increase in depression in those who had street light in their room. So you can say, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but the science kind of says otherwise. So spend the $30 on the blackout curtains. It is worth it. And then let nature guide you. As the sun is rising, try to rise. And as the sun is setting, try to slow it down. And then the best way to wake up for your body is movement, water, and sunlight. So if you can get a cup of water as your first meal, if you can get outside and do a little bit of walking or running or whatever it is you enjoy moving, and if you can either open the shades as you're working out inside or get outside to work out, those are all things that, while unpleasant maybe to begin, will really help set your circadian rhythm up. Next slide. So sound is our third component. Sound indicates so many things for us. We tend to take it for granted as we're so used to it if we are able-bodied in that way. And so particularly high-pitched sounds like a baby screaming or sirens will wake you. Women actually have a higher sensitivity to high-pitched sounds. It's commonly why a mother can hear the newborn crying and the father can't. There actually is a physical difference. Every person is different. Those are generalizations, but high-pitched sounds indicate alarm. They indicate emergency. And so that's why sound machines are at that very low, calming, rhythmic sound. So minimal sound is best. So, falling asleep to your TV is probably one of the worst things you can do because you've got light and you've got sound and you've got a changing light, blue light. So opt for a body scan meditation or the sound of waves or calming classical music. Find something you actually like and bring that into your home, into your bedroom, into your soundscape. And then social media, not really a huge discovery here or a surprise, but social media is just really not great before bed because it's light, it's sound, and it's incredibly stimulating. Your brain is just moving so quickly with the rapid rate of reels or TikToks or posts you're reading. And there's also an emotional response to those things, whether positive or negative or in between. And so opt for an audiobook or a conversation or reading. Find something that's soothing, even just stretching. That's a great way to calm yourself down. Next slide. So temperature is another thing that we can control. We live in homes that have thermostats, which is really incredible and convenient and honestly still very new technology. And so nobody wants to hear the statistic, but the ideal ambient temperature for your bedroom is 61 to 66 degrees for you to sleep well. I don't know, maybe it's why the Nordic countries like Norway and Sweden and Finland are always being named as the happiest places in the world to live. It's really dark and cold there for much of the year, but they sleep well. I'm not sure. But that sounds freezing to some people and completely impossible. However, if your bed is very, very cold or very warm, if you've got a lot of blankets, that weight will also help. That compression, there's a reason that, we call it kind of the fetal position. There's something comfortable about that, right? And so just make sure that you've got a lot of blankets, heavier blankets, and your bed's really comfortable. Ideally, sleeping naked or with minimal clothing really is best for your sleep health. Some people love to hear that. Some people hate to hear that. But that's really a good way to do it. You want to make sure that your hands and your feet are warm. That can be one of the issues that people face as they're like, what, not wearing clothes in bed? Yeah, but if you keep your hands and your feet warm, that really helps. Because you're trying to, basically the science of sleep with temperature is, as your body slows down and your heart rate slows down, your breathing slows, you're looking for your core temperature to drop 1 to 2 degrees so that you can reach sleep. So you need your body to cool down to stay asleep, to stay cool to stay asleep, and then to warm up as you wake up. And so one of the ways you can kind of trick your body, if you will, and not in a bad way, into doing this is called the warm bath effect. And parents actually know this quite well because they do it with their children. Your kids running out all day, they're in the yard, they're dirty, they're messy, there's snot all over them. And what do you do at the end of the day? You clean them, you bathe them, and then you put them in bed. And so what parents don't typically know is that by doing this, they are stimulating the skin by the water. And so they're bringing a lot of warmth to the top of the skin, which is pulling from the core of the body. As the child then comes out of the bath or you come out of the shower, all of that cooler air in your room hits you and you will feel cold. But what that's going to allow you to do is drop your core temperature. And so by dropping your core temperature, you will then be able to sleep more quickly and stay asleep longer. The only health note I would make here is sleeping on wet hair can be very damaging to your hair. So if you just want to rinse off and then hop in the bed, that's great. But you can break a lot of your hair follicles if you sleep on wet hair. So little tweak there. You can always blow dry your hair or just dry it before you get in bed. But those are a few things you can do to manipulate the temperature and help yourself get to sleep better. All right, next slide. So diet and sleep. How does my diet impact my sleep? How does what I'm eating and drinking have any impact on my sleep? It actually has a lot. So, our recommendation would always be to eat healthy, right? We are lifestyle beautiful. We want to provide wellness and health information and services to everyone. And so these are kind of the major pieces of how your diet affects your sleep. If you're looking for more individualized care, we would love to talk with you. I'd love to talk with you at a different time. You can also put some questions in the chat if you have questions, but everybody's a little bit different. So these are kind of the overarching pieces. So caffeine, got some right here. This is a jumbo shot with a little bit of heavy cream, which actually has less caffeine than 12 ounces of drip coffee. You can drink about 2 of these and it's about a 12-ounce drip coffee. So the FDA recommends less than 400 milligrams of caffeine a day. 400 is a lot. That's a lot of coffee. That's probably 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day. But what's really interesting about caffeine is it has a dual effect. So we all know caffeine's immediate effect, right? We all feel within that first 5, 15, 30 minutes, we feel a huge increase in our alertness and how wakeful we might feel. Caffeine is the most widely used drug, if you will, in the entire world. 70% of the world consumes caffeine, and it's the only thing that we give to kids in the form of soda or chocolate. And so caffeine can stimulate, and that can be a great thing. That can be really helpful. We really like caffeine. It's also it's in soda, it's in coffee, it's in tea, it's in chocolate. And then, there's other sneaky places it is. So just, read your labels. But caffeine is very, very powerful. And by that, I mean, it has a 10 to 12 hour impact on your body. That's a really long time. So that means that 5 hours after you've had your last coffee, it is still at 50% impact in your body. And so this explains the morning crash that people commonly feel, or the delay in sleep that people commonly feel. It not only stimulates in your body, right? But it also suppresses. So adenosine, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Adenosine is a chemical in your brain, and it's like a sleep pressure. So the longer you're awake, the more your adenosine grows. And the more your adenosine grows, the more tired you're going to feel, and the more you're going to feel like, I need to go to bed. And that's good. It's designed for your rhythm. It's supposed to help with that. It's not the same as your circadian rhythm. Those two things are actually separate. They're in separate parts of your brain. There's something called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, if you want to Google something. But as adenosine grows, you feel more sleepy, which is good because you should go to bed. But caffeine is sneaky, and it comes in and it sits on top of that neuroreceptor for adenosine. So not only do you feel stimulated by caffeine, you don't feel tired because the caffeine is blocking the adenosine from that neurotransmitter. Kind of a problem. So if you are having trouble sleeping, if you drink a lot of caffeine, this might be something to look at. And cutting off caffeine around 12 or 2 p.m. usually is the best fit. You can drink, decaf coffee, which has a little caffeine, but it's usually around like 7 milligrams per serving compared to, I don't know, like 140. I mean, it's a huge reduction. But caffeine is a psychoactive drug, and so it's something that we should be aware of. However, in the Western diet, this one's for free. In the Western diet, caffeine coffee is one of the most antioxidant heavy things that we consume. And so most health professionals would recommend continuing to consume it. And while I'm not a doctor, I'm a health coach, I'm just relaying that information. Alcohol. So alcohol is infamous for helping people sleep. People always talk about that, like, oh, I don't want to drink because I'll be sleepy. And while it is a depressant, being unconscious and being asleep are two different things. So just because someone's unconscious doesn't mean that they're sleeping. And so a lot of people will drink a glass of wine at dinner or a beer after work. And again, live your life, your decisions. I'm just giving you some facts about it and you can make your choices from there. But alcohol actually is a huge disruptor of sleep. If you go in and have a sleep study and they hook you up, right, to all the machines, you will see a huge deficit in your quality of sleep if you consume alcohol. So it's not necessarily going to hurt falling asleep. A lot of people will say, I slept great. I don't know what you're talking about. It will impact your quality of sleep. So that's kind of where alcohol is tricky. It's a weird recommendation, but alcohol usually cycles out within the day. And so it's actually better to drink in the middle of the day than at the end of the day. I know it's weird. I'm not sure what to do with that either. Large meals. So your digestive system really works best in the middle of the day. So it's best to eat a large meal at lunch rather than dinner. Americans typically eat their largest meal at the end of the day. And so that's not bad necessarily, but eating an hour before bed could impact your sleep. So try to just eat 2-3 hours before you go to bed. The whole eating after 8 p.m. makes you gain weight thing is just not true. You gain weight if you eat too many calories. Weight loss is challenging. It's not actually complex. So, but larger meals can cause a lot of digestion to be occurring when you're trying to sleep, and your body wants to be efficient. It just wants to go to sleep. It doesn't want to be digesting. So, and then drinking water and other fluids. I think everybody kind of knows this, but if your bladder is full, you're going to have a hard time going to sleep. So cutting off water, again, 2-3 hours before you go to bed. Everybody's got a different body. So try it out, see what works for you, and consume the majority of your liquids in the morning and afternoon so that you can sleep well. Next slide. Okay, so the bedroom. So because we live in a post-pandemic, and I know the pandemic is still occurring and people are still suffering, so I don't mean to make light of that. I just mean most of the world is back to a pre-pandemic functionality. People are used to using their homes as offices for reading, for all sorts of different reasons. And so the modern bedroom is a gym. It's an office, it's a craft room, it's whatever it's supposed to be. And so this can be very difficult for the brain. When you're in the car, you're driving. When you're at work, you're working. When you're at the gym, you're lifting weights or running. And then when you're in the kitchen, you're cooking dinner. But when you're in the bedroom, there's way too many functionalities. And this can trigger in your brain memories, it can trigger habits, and it can make it difficult to sleep because instead of the bedroom being a restful place, it's a place of work or activity. So the intended use is for sleep. for sex, and for relaxation. Those are really the only things you should be doing in your bedroom. So if you want to read or you want to get work done, go into a different part of the house. Now, some people might say, I live in a studio apartment. The whole room is my bedroom. What am I supposed to do now, Bree? And that's a great question, right? I mean, limited space is a reality. Not everybody has a bunch of extra rooms. And so I would just say, segment it. Find a way, find a curtain or one of those collapsible walls. Find ways to make one room into a few different functional spaces so that when you get to your bed, your brain knows this is where I rest. This is where I sleep, right? And so obviously relaxation could be stretching, it could be meditation, and then sex is another good and positive thing to be doing in the bedroom. So those are the intended uses of the bedroom, not kind of everything else. All right, so how to fall asleep. So it's important, right? Kind of looking back at all the things that we've talked about, it's important that you're not consuming too much food or blue light or liquids or alcohol or, like those are all of the things, those are all of the tools. And I don't recommend making 10 changes at once. Pick one thing. If you make changes, if you are here to learn something and you're saying to yourself, okay, these are the things I do well, and these are the things I don't do well, and I need to change all these 5 things at once. I would not recommend that. Change one thing at a time. See how it goes. Which one do you think you'll be most successful with? Which one's the easiest? Start there. And so anyway, that's a little bit on habit change, but go to bed when you're sleepy. If you sit in bed for a long period of time, the bed becomes a place of frustration. So after 30 minutes or so, you should be 20 to 30 minutes, you should be getting up out of bed and go practice some mindfulness, go stretch, do something that's not very stimulating, right? So working on a laptop is too stimulating. Exercising, too stimulating. Find something, whether it's Pilates or yoga, find something that you can do that's like very low energy and activity level that you can bring yourself to a place of sleepiness. Even if it's lying on the couch, that's actually better that you'd be frustrated lying on the couch than in bed. And then go back to bed, try it again. And I would say having a routine is really important. We all have morning routines. Most people get up and do the same 10 things over and over and over again. Why? Because it works. It's helpful. Your brain has autonomic responses, and about 50% of our tasks are autonomic. So this is why children and babies are so tired. They've literally never put on their shoes before. They've literally never peed on a potty, right? Whatever it is, kids are always learning, and that's why they're so tired and they sleep like 10 and 12 hours. And so as adults, we are not learning how to put on our shoes, but we are challenged at work when a new client comes in asking for XYZ. So have a routine so that you're not thinking about, how do I calm myself down to go to bed? Build something so that you know. So it's better to build systems. James Clear has a great book called Atomic Habits. It's better to build systems than to rely on your mindfulness in the moment or your motivation and your discipline. So if you can set up multiple things, visual cues to encourage a bedtime routine, that's better. So it should be a bedtime routine you actually like. Don't create a bedtime routine that you hate. For example, I typically shower, which helps with my temperature. I turn off the lights in the house and I just have lamps on. And I try to get off my phone. I'm working on that one more personally. And try to have some music playing or wave sounds, something that's really calming. And then I light a candle and I stretch before bed. that's kind of like my ideal perfect. And I hit most of those every night, not all of them. But I know even if I'm coming in from out of town, or if I'm coming home from spending time with friends or whatever, that's my routine. And so I know how to calm my body down. Once I get in bed, I usually do a 10-minute body scan meditation. It's a fancy way of saying you spend time closing your eyes and focusing on different parts of the body as a way to relax them. So you think about your jaw and how tight it probably is, and you relax it. Or is your tongue touching the back of your teeth right now? Mine isn't because I'm talking, but yours probably is because you're listening. And so what are those things? What are those parts of your body, whether it's your shoulders or your hips, what's tight, and how do you release that? So create a bedtime routine that you enjoy and do it and see if your sleep improves. So next slide, thank you. What if you can't sleep? That's a really common problem. So 1 in 10 people have insomnia at some point in their life. Actually, at some point in their life, it's really high. I think it's about 33%. But currently, 1 in 10 people suffer from insomnia. Again, I am not a medical doctor, and so I'm not giving medical advice. I am sharing information, mostly gleaned from Matthew Walker's Why We Sleep. He's a brilliant neuroscientist. He's English, but he works in California and at a university. So go read that book if you have more interest, or listen to it. It's fantastic. But sleep is such a foundation. Parasomnias are really, really common. And so the sooner you can get help with it, the better, because the longer that you remain in your place of frustration or with your sleep problems, the harder it is to change, right? We all know this. If you have a habit, it will continue to repeat itself until you do something to change it. So go see your doctor. A neuroscientist is always a good person to talk to. Get a sleep study and figure out what's actually going on. Sleep apnea is another one. That's 1 in 15. Sleep apnea occurs when people stop breathing as they sleep. This is very common. A reduction in stress and in body weight. Those are 2 things that can really help with sleep apnea. But talk to your doctor and get some help. And then restless leg syndrome is another common one. This one's a little bit harder, I think, to detect. So again, see your medical professional, talk to your provider, and I hope you're able to get help with it. Currently, medical intervention, as in drugs for sleeping, has not been shown to be effective over the course of a long period. So taking melatonin, for example, melatonin doesn't, there's a lot of misconceptions around melatonin, so I would not encourage self-medicating. I would encourage talking to your doctor about that. The other problem with melatonin is it is widely available in this country, but what's on the bottle and what's in the pill, studies have shown are not the same. And it really depends on the brand. You could end up with 15% of what they say is in the pill, or one statistic was over 700% of the dosage of what's in that capsule. So again, talk to your doctor. CBTI, which is cognitive behavioral therapy in the area of insomnia, has been shown to be very effective. And that sounds crazy. You want me to go to therapy to sleep better? Yes, if it works. So talk to your doctor and maybe do a little research or consult a therapist to talk about your sleep issues. How we think about our sleep impacts how we sleep, and that's what therapy might help you to do. All right, so these are my resources. If you want to take a screenshot of that, I think there's 2 resource pages. Nope, there's 1. So these are my resources that I used. If you're looking for any more information, obviously, we are here to serve you. And so if you would like to have private sessions with me, I would be more than happy to talk to you about that. That's available. And then these are a couple of our future topics that we're thinking about having other webinars on. And so if any of them stick out to you, throw them in the chat, or you can shoot me a message. I'd love to hear feedback on what you think of the webinar, how it was helpful, how it wasn't, how it could be better, what was good, what was not. And thank you so much for coming. So we're going to move on to our questions and answers. All right.
Bree, thank you so much. This was amazing. And I see a couple questions maybe typing, but I had one that I learned from this organization. And Bree, thank you again for your expertise. Question on thoughts on CBD and sleep. We talked about a little bit about alcohol. I talked a little bit about caffeine. Would love to get your just quick thoughts on CBD.
That is an excellent question, Megan. And honestly, I have not looked into it, so I cannot give any recommendations for or against, other than I would look at the overarching research on the effects of CBD, because it's designed to calm. And I was reading an article the other day. It was Andrew Huberman, and he is he's a scientist, I believe, at Berkeley, and he works a lot with visuals, how your visuals affect your health. And he posted an article about marijuana use and its effect over time. So I can't actually answer the question, but if I were to give a resource, Andrew Huberman, and you can marijuana, he did a whole podcast on it, and it was pretty helpful.
That is super helpful. Thank you.
Sure. So if anyone else has questions, feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand or put it in the chat. I'd be happy to. Thank you, Julie. Julie just dropped in the chat YouTube to Andrew Huberman Lab so that you have access to that. But are there any other questions that people have about what I said, or kind of like what Megan just did there, just asking about sleep?
You know, Bree, I don't have a question, but I did just want to follow up for individuals. You mentioned as one of the resources, Atomic Habits, which is a great book. I am pretty partial to Tiny Habits, which is by Dr. BJ Fogg. He is a behavioral scientist, and a lot of the work that Atomic Habits is based on really stems from some of the research that Dr. Fogg has done. So definitely that would be another resource as well. But I also dropped in the chat for our attendees. I dropped in here a link for you to sign up to the Sleep 101. Let us know that you attended this, but we will send you we don't spam you, we don't sell your information, but we do want to provide you with resources and to connect you with some of the great content that coaches like Bree have provided us, and just so you know, Bree is a certified holistic health and wellness being coach, and she's a former Division I athlete. Her master's degree is in counseling and mental health. And this equips her to really be able to provide you with the support, answer your questions, and give you the types of tools that you need to really live the lifestyle beautiful. So please feel free to connect with her, connect with us, follow us on all of our social media channels, which is Lifestyle Beautiful. But definitely, this is the expert. We're so appreciative of you being here. Help us get the word out, because these are the great tips and information that allow us to show up better, because when you're sleeping better, as Bree mentioned, it allows you to perform better in all types and areas of your life. But I'm going to turn it back over to Bree.
Thank you, Julie. Yes, it's true. Just finished my program at Duke as a health and well-being coach. So that was an excellent program, and recently finished my counseling degree in mental health and wellness. So, and then have experience as a Division I athlete. So I love health. I love wellness. And I'm really happy to be working with Lifestyle Beautiful on creating more resources and opportunity for people to get healthier. All right, well, I don't see any questions. We're happy to wait a little bit longer if anybody has them. Any follow-up on caffeine or any other parts of the webinar, we'd be happy to answer any questions that, or I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can.
Bree, I just wanted to say that, you know, the content is terrific. And one of the things that from a personal experience, and this is a lot of what you share, creating a sleep pattern, good hygiene. I definitely set my phone to start shutting down around 9 o'clock, and it reminds me, okay, start winding down and give myself that hour before I go to bed for it to not be something that I'm looking at. And I definitely have slept a lot better. I'm sleeping through the night, and things have improved. So start small. These are great tips. We will send out the replay, and we will also send out the slide deck so that you have this information and you will be able to connect. So make sure that if you sign up, you will get it automatically. But if you want to connect with us further, the link in the chat is something that you can register for, and we will continue to send you information to stay connected and abreast. We have other great webinars coming up, and we expect to bring you the best of the best, again, continuing not only next week, but also throughout the new year. And thank you for attending.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Christina. And thank you again, Jonathan and Kathy, for being here. You guys make this so exciting to see people who are looking to continue to better their sleep patterns and continue to just leverage the wonderful information that coaches like Bree that are part of Lifestyle Beautiful. And again, she's our primary health coach, and she can walk you through so many different things. Feel free to reach out if you want to connect, and if you're interested in maybe finding out how you can collaborate and work with Lifestyle Beautiful, we're always open to be able to support you. Thank you again for attending, everyone, and have a wonderful day. And don't forget, go out and live the Lifestyle Beautiful. Bye-bye.